Beautiful afternoon to all of you here. It's a beautiful Friday, beautiful afternoon. We've got a great weekend coming up, F1 weekend, and a bunch of even more lovely cooling measures right from the government this early morning. Right, so at 1 a.m. earlier today, there was a bunch of cooling measures that were introduced, and they take effect right away. No time for you to react whatsoever. And for all of you who are unaware what these cooling measures are and how they are going to affect our property prices, what's the rest of the market, the rest of the year going to look like? Are we going to have even more cooling measures? This video is for you, right? So without further ado, let's look at what are the three main factors that were being introduced this time around. And surprise, it's not hitting any of our foreigners, any of our foreign investors that much yet. Right, it's mostly targeted towards the local market, and in particular one asset class is getting hit super hard, and that is number one, HDB. Right, so the first of the measures that were introduced, the HDB LTV, which is your loan to value ratio, has been reduced. This marks the second time in a row. Previously it was 90%, got reduced to 85%, and now from 85% we are dropping even further to 80%. So versus our current status quo of private properties having a 75% LTV ratio, HDBs are almost the same right now. So previously you could get a HDB for just 50k down payment. When it was 90%, you could just have a 500k flat, pay 10% and use 90% for loan. Now it's 80%, so the impact of this ratio, this 5%, is actually even greater than what you think. Let's assume we are looking at the $1 million flats out there, $1 million HDBs. This 5% represents an extra $50,000 that the buyers need to come up with either cash or CPF, and they are not able to service using a loan. Now, traditionally, this is not the first time we've had LTV decreases, right? We've had it for private property market previously. TDSR was also hit. Now, LTV being hit is usually one of the most effective methods to curb the property prices. And after the last round of LTV decrease for HDB from 90 to 85%, the government must have felt that prices are still high, they're still going to hit it further, and that's why we have now 85 to 80%. Now, for a normal HDB resale property that we're looking at, let's say it's a $500,000 property, this 5% is an extra $25,000 that you will need to come up with either in cash or in CPF. For a young couple, let's assume a young couple is out working, they are starting their new jobs, maybe their monthly income together is $5,000. The extra $25,000 is 5 full months of their pay without any expenses. If you cap expenses to half of your income and you save half of your monthly income, you will still need an extra 10 months just to make up for this difference for a resale flat, to put things into perspective, right? So of course 5% is 50,000 may not be a lot to some of the people, but the intent and I think the impact that will be felt the greatest will be your young couples buying their first property, right? With a 80% LTV for a 500k flat, you will need $100,000 to down pay, and I can't imagine many young couples having $100,000 to pay for their flat when they just started working. A couple maybe who are 25, 26 years old and they are first getting married, they are looking to get their flat and move in and start their married life together. Needing $100,000 is a lot of money. But of course, in this scenario, if they're buying their very first house in the resale market, they are eligible for grants. So now here's a very important thing. What I think is going to happen as they are hitting and limiting the LTV even more, the government must surely realize that the young couples are suffering from this quite a lot. Prices, even BTOs, are getting to the $500,000, $700,000 mark, especially for the prime housing models. So I would take a gamble and say that I think in the coming few months to years, if they continue to hit the HDB prices, they will make up for it for the young couples by giving more grants and giving a bigger margin of error for you to qualify for certain benchmark of grants, right? As it stands right now, you can get up to $80,000 if you are, depending on your income, There's also the proximity grant of $20,000. All these could potentially increase if they want your young couples, especially the income grants, the family grants. They could potentially increase this so that the families, the young families, can get started on building their home at a more affordable rates. Now, the second part of this loan ratio that is targeting is actually the people who are cashing out their private properties, right? Now, it's very, very common in today's market. In fact, most people are doing it this way. After they make a bunch of money from their private property, they eventually do cash out they sell at their flat at, let's say, 50 years old, and they go into a retirement home, a HDB 3-room flat or something, 4-room flat, and fully paid for. And because they made so much money in the private market, they could even look at some of the executive mansionettes, executive apartments, the large jumbo flats, and that's how you get all your $1 million properties, right? Doesn't matter that there's COV, doesn't matter that there's cash over value, because they know that they have made quite a bit of cash from their own private property investments. So this direct reduction in the LTV ratio, they are actually going to affect all these people and reduce their cash profits right away. Now, this is the intent. It's very clear that this is what the government is trying to do. This is what they're trying to target. Will we look at the prices a year from now and will we feel the impact? If you ask me, I don't think so, because the last 5% that we had, prices has not dropped that much. Now, just based on this alone, probably will not have such a big impact, will not have such a pronounced impact. So it is very, very possible. Now, it is well within the realm of possibility that another round of cooling measures will be coming in the next 24 months. That's what I feel, right? Just based on this alone, because a 5% reduction in LTV will still not fully curb the property market, especially the HDB market, right? Now, be it as it may, that if this is the only thing that is hitting the HDB market, then we potentially, will not see such a big effect on the HDB prices. But this is just part 1 of 3. All 3 today are hitting the HDB market, and that is actually the asset class that's getting hit the most. Second cooling measure that we have something totally new, which is a 15-month wait-out period for private property owners before they can buy a HDB resale flat. Now, as it stands right now, for us, if let's say you're currently staying in an EC, you have finished your MOP, you're staying in a private property, a landed property, and you want to fully sell it out and buy a HDB resale, you can do so without a single delay, right? So what we call right sizing, what we call downgrading right now, the terminology that we usually use. People who have made a bunch of money in their private properties and then eventually they want to fully pay off a HDB and they retire. This is very, very common, right? But now they can no longer do so. Previously, there was a 0-month delay. You can just sell your private property, go into a HDB resale right away. If you wanted to go to a HDB subsidized flat, either a BTO, a new EC, or to take any sort of grants, you will need to wait 30 months, right? But if you wanted to buy a resale, it's a free market, you're not affected at all. Now, something new that they are introducing is this 15-month wait-up period to buy a HDB resale. And as we know, HDB resale, typically the price has not increased as much year on year. BTOs, we know that they always make money, right? Of course, you are staying there for a 5-year. When you hit the secondary market, you're the newest there, everybody wants a new apartment. But resale markets don't necessarily make that much. And so because of this, waiting 15 months to buy a resale flat, is it going to be worth it? Personally, I don't really think so. But if necessary, you still have to do it. You still have to bite the bullet, then go ahead. For the people who have not bought a single subsidized flat from HDB before at all, now suddenly the option of waiting 30 months to buy a subsidized flat from HDB looks okay in comparison, because if you've already done 15 months, why not wait another 15 months again, right? But this 15 months that you're waiting is going to be extra expense for you, because you're going to have to start renting outside, and which is why I feel the rental market may get even crazier moving forwards. We have all these people who have just sold their property, they are caught unaware. This new bunch of cooling measures caught them with their hands in a cookie jar. They assumed that they could just downgrade right away, but they couldn't. Now they're gonna have to start renting out in the market. They have to start looking for properties, and that's why I feel rental may go up. I fear rental may go up even more. For those of you who are renting now, you'll feel the pain. The last few months has absolutely been brutal. Prices have been increasing. So, as for how effective this method is to curb HDB prices, actually we still don't know, because this is the first time that they've introduced something like this, a new wait out period. So, no historical data to back it up, but I would think that this is going to be this will be quite an effective method to curb the prices, as you are eating directly into the cash profits of the private property owners, right? Now, if this was the only measure, then perhaps you will not see such a big effect on the HDB prices, but coupled with the LTV increase and the third cooling measure that we have later, we are going to see quite a big difference, I would say, in our HDB prices. I feel that HDB, they are really trying to keep true to their motto of providing affordable housing for all of the citizens of Singapore, and that's why the government is keeping a very tight rein on the prices to make sure that it doesn't go and balloon too much out of control. One important thing to take note that HDB prices going out of control has a lot of impact on the entire market, not just the HDB market, because in a normal scenario, in any perfect simulated world, a HDB should not be more expensive than a condo. A HDB should not be more expensive than a landed property. If it were the case, then why buy a HDB if a condo is the exact same and you can sell it to a foreigners in a price wise. So when HDB prices go up, actually they produce a price crimping effect where your landed and your private property prices, your condo prices are getting crimped as well. They are forced to increase along with the HDB price increase to maintain that status quo where they are higher. Now, the last few months, absolutely, we have read that ever since COVID started, HDB prices have been increasing non-stop. It's been absolutely insane climb, but they are keeping a very tight eye now, and I think it's very clear right now. All of us can tell that the government is not happy. They are not really satisfied with how the current HDB prices are, but they have to live with that because it's still a free market in the secondary HDB market, right? So they're going to keep a very tight eye, and I believe, this is, as I've said before, as I've said in the previous cooling measure, I believe that there is a very good chance that if prices remain as they are, our prices have remained as they are, even though volume has dropped in the last 2-3 months. If prices remain as they are, I would not be surprised to see another round of cooling measures. Now, between the last round of cooling measures to now, it's about 9 months. The last one was around December 2021, so about 9 months now. I will not be surprised within the next 12 to 24 months with another round of cooling measures to hit the HDB market again, right? In contrast, private property market is not hit as much this time around. They are hitting mostly your debt servicing ratios and your interest rates calculation to make sure that people remain affordable, remain prudent and able to pay their loans even in this high interest environment. Alright, so this is the two main targeted cooling measures hitting the HDB market. Now for the third one, we have something that is quite different and maybe less intuitive, is going to be your mortgage ratio is getting hit. Both your TDSR and MSR, mortgage servicing ratio, and your total debt servicing ratio is getting hit. Not directly, but instead of using 3.5% to calculate your interest rates, now we will be using 4% to exercise prudence. Now, this is absolutely a reaction in the current high interest environment, because as during our NDP rally, PM Lee has said before that they are going to continue to increase interest rates. Interest rates are expected to come down anytime soon, and we still follow the Fed rates, right? Back in US, over in US. So as they continue to increase their interest rates, we are going to continue increasing our interest rates, and for us to hit 3.5% doesn't seem so far off now, since we are at 3% for some of our fixed loans. So To be safe, they are increasing the ceiling temporarily from 3.5% to 4%. As for how it actually affects you, instead of being able to afford your loan now, the total amount that you may be able to loan might be reduced even further to better accommodate these new 4% interest rates. So the actual repayment will still depend on the loan package that you are getting from your bank, but for the sake of calculation and for the sake of calculating how much you can use from your monthly income to pay, they'll be using a 4% ratio to calculate. Now the formula given is here, right? 55% of your income can be used to pay for the mortgage for your TDSR. 55% of your monthly income can be used to pay for the mortgage based on a 4% annually calculation. For your MSR, it's 30% of your income, right? 30% of your income can be used to pay for your property based on similarly 4% interest. Now, this is hitting both your private and your HDB market, but the one that is going to hit the most is your new EC market. As we are gearing up for the new EC launches, Copen Grand and Tenet in Tampines, Copen Grand in Tengah, these are going to hit the most because we are going to have property prices that are currently, if you are at the income ceiling of 16,000 for a brand new EC launch, you are going to see a loan of somewhere about 1 million plus a little, right? So if you are buying a 1.2 million or 1.3 million flat, it still remains affordable. You can max out your 75%. With the current new 4% calculation, you will unlikely to be able to loan the full $1 million now. It may be reduced even further, 970,000, and that further increases the amount of down payment you need to do, and you need to come up with either more cash or CPF for your down payment, right? So that's how they are actually exercising prudence. That's how the government wants us to be safer. And if you ask me, I think right now the EC market is just so unaffordable, not because of the price, but because of the pricing mechanism, how they actually derive the loan calculations. It's so hard for most of the average Singaporeans, for most of us in fact, to actually afford a EC. It's even more affordable to go for a private property because you are able to use the more lenient TDSR of 55%. Now, this is the only measure that is hitting the private market right now, right? But I believe the government is keeping a very, very close eye on the private market as well. Their immediate concern is still the skyrocketing HDB prices, because that is not only just affecting the HDB market, as I said, it's also affecting the private property market. And so with this round of cooling measures, I think it is very, very clear by now that the government is clearly very unhappy with how HDB's prices have remained so high, right? Now, HDB was originally conceptualized to provide affordable housing for every Singaporean, and with the dream of every Singaporean owning a home to their name. They want to keep true to that motto and the goal, and that's why they are keeping a very, very close eye to make sure that not only can everybody own a home, but they do not make too much money and they do not send the HDB prices spiraling out of control. That is always their first goal. Private property wise, we still have to remain attractive to foreign investments, because Singapore is not only known for our political stability, we are also known for being a tax haven. So many foreigners would love to own a property in Singapore, right? So in the coming few months, I think we are going to see, in fact, maybe even we might take an even longer time frame to see this, but what I think is the property in Singapore is going to have a divergence, right? We're going to have, on one hand, the private property market where both Singaporeans and foreigners can own, and the HDB market. HDB market will remain as the affordable housing for people to stay, for people to live in and build their family, but it should not be making you that much money. Private property, of course, since it's catered towards your foreigners as well, there has to be a certain element of investments and profit making, so people can make the money there. And in fact, for foreigners, they can't own HDBs, they can't own landed unless they are buying a landed in Sentosa Cove area, so they are forced, right? As our population increases, as we are getting more foreigners in, they are forced to buy private properties and condos instead. So this is what I feel is going to happen to the future of our property market. And I believe that, as I've mentioned before multiple times over the video, I believe that another round of HDB cooling measures could very, very well come if the prices remain as high and unaffordable as it is. If you've noticed the recent BTO prices, it's been slowly creeping upwards. All our new prime housing are about $700,000 to $800,000 to buy. Even 5-room flats in Tampines is about $500,000+ to buy in the recent BTO exercise. That's what's happening. This is also one way for the government to curb the HDB prices, right? Rather than having the owners look at HDB as a form of investment property, as a way to make money. Why not start charging the price right away and for them to start making that money right away? Unfortunately, due to the way it's structured, since our resale market is a free market, ultimately market forces dictate whether we will have prices that are crazily out of control, right? So I hope this has been helpful. I hope this video has been helpful for us to break down and understand the intent of the recent cooling measures, right? If you have any further questions, if you have anything you're unsure about, feel free to let me know in the comments below. Cheers.